What if a man could become anyone he wanted to be? Not through magic, but through sheer audacity and a profound understanding of human perception. Imagine a shadow, a phantom who could slip through the world's most secure systems, not with force, but with a smile and a well-told lie. This isn't fiction. It's the unnerving reality of a ghost who haunted the world, leaving behind a trail of bewildered victims and a legend that continues to blur the line between fact and fantasy. His name was Frank Abagnale Jr., but then again, was it? The story begins in the turbulent 1960s, a time of social upheaval and burgeoning technology, a perfect storm for a new kind of criminal. Frank Abagnale Jr., a teenager from New Rochelle, New York, found his world fractured by his parents' divorce. This personal chaos seemed to ignite a spark within him, not of destruction, but of reinvention. He ran away from home, armed with little more than his wits and a preternatural ability to inspire trust. His crimes weren't born of malice, but of a desire to reclaim the life he felt he had lost, a life of respect, admiration, and of course, financial stability. The world became his stage, and his first role was that of a Pan-American World Airways pilot. It was a masterstroke of deception. The uniform alone was a key to a hidden world, a symbol of authority and glamour that opened doors and wallets. He didn't just look the part, he lived it, meticulously studying airline jargon and procedures. He discovered the art of deadheading, flying for free on any airline by presenting his forged pilot's license and ID. This wasn't just about free travel. It was about creating a persona so convincing that no one would ever think to question the checks he cashed along the way. With the confidence of a seasoned actor, Abagnale perfected his craft of check fraud. He was more than a simple forger. He was an artist of the financial system. He exploited the float, the time it took for a check to clear, manipulating routing numbers to send his fraudulent checks on a cross-country tour, buying him precious time before his deception was discovered. He printed his own checks, sometimes mimicking payroll checks from companies like Pan Am, creating documents that were virtually indistinguishable from the real thing. His charm was his greatest tool, disarming bank tellers and merchants who saw a confident pilot, not a teenage con artist. But the life of a pilot, even a fake one, grew tiresome. The constant threat of exposure led him to seek refuge in a quieter, more respectable profession. In Georgia, a chance encounter and a bold lie led him to become a supervising pediatrician in a local hospital. He adopted the alias Frank Connors, claiming to be a doctor to his landlord to avoid suspicion. A friendship with a real doctor in his apartment complex opened an unexpected door: the position of a resident supervisor, a role that, conveniently, required no actual medical intervention. For nearly a year, Abagnale walked the hospital halls, a phantom in a white coat. He relied on his quick wit and the competence of the medical interns to navigate his duties. He would defer to their judgment, effectively allowing them to handle the real medical work while he maintained the illusion of authority. The charade, however, had its terrifying moments. A blue baby incident, where an infant was deprived of oxygen, starkly revealed his terrifying ignorance and the real-life consequences of his deception. It was a chilling reminder that his game could have fatal costs. From medicine, he transitioned to law, a profession built on rhetoric and persuasion, skills he had in abundance. He forged a Harvard law transcript and set his sights on the Louisiana State Bar exam. The story he would later tell was that he passed the exam on his third attempt after weeks of intense study. He claimed to have secured a position in the Louisiana Attorney General's office, handling research and persuading people, a natural fit for his talents. However, the veracity of this particular impersonation has been heavily disputed, with no official records to support his claims of ever being a member of the Louisiana Bar. The academic world also proved to be fertile ground for his deceptions. He claimed to have posed as a sociology professor at Brigham Young University for a semester. Armed with a fabricated transcript from Columbia University, he allegedly charmed the dean and was hired to teach summer courses. According to his own account, he simply stayed one chapter ahead of his students in the textbook, delivering lectures based on his life experiences. Like his legal career, this claim has been met with skepticism and denial from the university itself. As Abagnale's exploits grew more audacious, so did the efforts of those trying to catch him. The FBI, in particular, was baffled by this elusive figure, a ghost who left a trail of bad checks and assumed identities across the country and eventually, the world. He was known as the Skywayman, a phantom who seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. The investigation was a frustrating game of cat and mouse, with Abagnale always seemingly one step ahead, his charm and quick thinking allowing him to slip through the grasp of law enforcement time and time again. The lead investigator, a tenacious FBI agent portrayed as Carl Hanratty in the film adaptation, became obsessed with the case. He saw beyond the charm and the clever disguises to the mind of a brilliant but misguided young man. The agent's pursuit was relentless, a cross-country chase marked by near misses and clever escapes. In one memorable instance, Abagnale, confronted by the agent in a motel room, coolly pretended to be a fellow law enforcement officer, flashing a fake wallet and walking away before the agent realized he'd been duped. The net, however, was slowly closing. Abagnale's fame, or rather infamy, was spreading. Wanted posters with his face began to appear, making his life as a fugitive increasingly difficult. He had traveled across 26 countries, leaving a trail of fraudulent checks amounting to a purported $2.5 million. His life on the run was a whirlwind of luxury and paranoia, a constant performance that was becoming harder to maintain. The once thrilling game was now a desperate struggle for survival. The breakthrough in the case came not from a brilliant piece of detective work, but from a simple human connection. An Air France flight attendant, a woman Abagnale had dated, recognized his face on a wanted poster in France. Her tip to the authorities led to his arrest in Montpellier in 1969. The charismatic phantom, the master of disguise, was finally unmasked, not by the FBI, but by a ghost from his own past. The game, it seemed, was over. His capture led to a grueling ordeal in a French prison in Perpignan, an experience he described as horrific, with inmates confined to small, dark cells. He served 6 months of a 1-year sentence before being extradited to Sweden, where he served another 6 months under more humane conditions. Eventually, he was deported back to the United States to face charges for his extensive check fraud. His world had shrunk from glamorous international travel to the stark reality of prison walls. But even in captivity, Abagnale's instinct for escape was irrepressible. He famously escaped from a federal penitentiary in Atlanta by convincing the guards he was an undercover prison inspector. He had a friend create a fake business card for an FBI agent, which he used to prove his identity. He told the guards he needed to meet his partner outside the prison, and they, completely fooled, let him walk right out the front door. It was a testament to his unwavering confidence and his ability to manipulate any situation to his advantage. Another legendary escape allegedly occurred while he was being deported back to the U.S. As the plane was taxiing on the runway, he managed to slip into the lavatory, remove the toilet, and squeeze through the opening, dropping onto the tarmac below. He then fled to Canada before being apprehended again. While these stories add to his mythic status, their authenticity, like many of his claims, remains a subject of debate, a part of the enigmatic puzzle that is Frank Abagnale. After being recaptured, He was sentenced to 12 years in a federal prison in the United States. The life of cons and escapes seemed to have finally reached its end. He was no longer a pilot, a doctor, or a lawyer. He was simply a prisoner. The charismatic phantom was caged, his incredible story seemingly destined to fade into obscurity within the confines of the American prison system. The aftermath of his criminal career, however, took an unexpected turn. The same skills that had made him a master criminal also made him an invaluable asset to the very people who had hunted him. The FBI, recognizing his unparalleled expertise in forgery, fraud, and deception, offered him a deal: his freedom in exchange for his knowledge. He was to serve the remainder of his sentence working for them, helping them catch other criminals like himself. Thus began the most surprising chapter of his life. Frank Abagnale, the notorious con artist, became a consultant for the FBI. He lectured at the FBI Academy, teaching new agents about the methods of forgers and counterfeiters. He brought a unique perspective to law enforcement, an insider's understanding of the criminal mind. The man who had once been one of their most wanted fugitives was now one of their most valued experts. His transition to a legitimate career was not without its challenges. After his release, he struggled to find steady employment, his criminal record being an insurmountable obstacle. He tried various jobs, but his past always caught up with him. It was only when he decided to embrace his unique history, to market his skills as a security consultant, that he found his true calling on the right side of the law. He founded Abagnale and Associates, a security consulting firm that advises businesses and financial institutions on fraud prevention. He designed secure checks with anti-fraud features and developed programs to educate employees on how to spot scams and forgeries. The man who had once cost banks millions of dollars was now helping them save millions. It was the ultimate irony, a testament to his remarkable ability to reinvent himself. His life story, a blend of incredible fact and likely embellishment, was immortalized in his autobiography, Catch Me If You Can, co-written with Stan Redding. The book became a bestseller, capturing the public's imagination with its tales of daring impersonations and narrow escapes. It cemented his status as a folk hero, a charming rogue who outsmarted the system. The book's success led to the 2002 film adaptation directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Leonardo DiCaprio as Abagnale and Tom Hanks as the determined FBI agent. The movie was a critical and commercial success, introducing his story to a new generation and further blurring the lines between the man and the myth. Abagnale himself made a cameo appearance in the film as one of the French police officers who arrests his character. The legacy of Frank Abagnale is a complex and controversial one. He is hailed by some as a genius, a master of social engineering, who exposed the vulnerabilities of the systems we rely on. To others, he is simply a liar, a common criminal who embellished his story for fame and profit. Recent investigations and books have cast doubt on many of his more fantastic claims, suggesting his criminal career was far less glamorous and extensive than he has portrayed. Journalist and author Alan C. Logan, in his book, The Greatest Hoax on Earth, presents evidence that Abagnale was actually in prison for much of the time he claimed to be on the run. Logan's research suggests that many of the elaborate impersonations, like those of the doctor and lawyer, were either greatly exaggerated or entirely fabricated. He argues that Abagnale's greatest con was not his check fraud, but the story of his life itself. The debate over the truth of his story is, in itself, a part of his legacy. It raises questions about the nature of identity, the power of narrative, and our willingness to believe a good story, even when it seems too good to be true. Abagnale himself has admitted to some exaggeration in his autobiography, further muddying the waters. The mystery that surrounds him is as captivating as the alleged crimes themselves. Regardless of the exact truth, there is no denying the impact Abagnale has had. He has become a leading authority on fraud prevention, his expertise sought by corporations and governments worldwide. He has spent over 4 decades associated with the FBI, a relationship that began with a manhunt and evolved into a unique partnership. His work has undoubtedly made the world a more secure place, a strange and unexpected outcome for a life that began in deception. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of security and vigilance in an increasingly complex world. He demonstrated how easily trust can be manipulated and how vulnerable our systems can be to a determined and clever individual. His methods, from altering routing numbers on checks to creating convincing fake IDs, highlighted security flaws that have since been addressed, in part due to his own later work. The psychological aspect of his story is equally fascinating. What drives a person to abandon their own identity and adopt others? For Abagnale, it seems to have been a combination of necessity, a desire for a better life, and perhaps the thrill of the performance. He was a chameleon, adapting to any environment, becoming the person he needed to be to survive and thrive. His story is a study in the fluidity of identity and the power of self-creation. The enduring appeal of his story lies in its inherent fantasy. It's a tale of adventure, of outsmarting the authorities, of living a life without limits. He is the ultimate impostor, the man who beat the system with his charm and intellect. Whether fact or fiction, his story taps into a universal desire for freedom and reinvention, the idea that we can be anyone we want to be. Today, Frank Abagnale continues to be a prominent figure in the world of security, a respected expert with a notorious past. He is a living paradox, a man whose life is a testament to both the dangers of fraud and the possibility of redemption. He has transformed himself from a master criminal into a master of crime prevention, his life's journey a remarkable arc of transformation. The mystery of Frank Abagnale Jr. may never be fully solved. The line between the truth and the legend he has so carefully crafted may always remain blurred. But perhaps that is the most fitting legacy for a man who lived his life as a phantom, a master of illusion. The final, thought-provoking question is not what he did, but who he truly is. And maybe, just maybe, not even he knows the answer anymore.